Square Angus apartments cater to autonomous retirees. This 149 apartment complex, which offers mostly 3.5 and 4.5 units, was built in 2012. Severe problems in maintaining a maximum water temperature below 43 degrees Celsius, 110 degrees Fahrenheit, at the bath faucets and shower heads outputs. This situation endangered residents' physical integrity due to the risk of getting scalded or burned. According to Quebec Building Regulations, RBQ, it is compulsory to limit maximum water temperature at 43 degrees Celsius, at the bath faucets and shower heads outputs, using a mixture of cold and hot water, to prevent residents from getting scalded or burned by excessively hot water in private senior citizens' residences, hospitals, rehabilitation centers, long-term care centers, and other healthcare institutions. Installing a thermostatic valve between two block valves for maintenance purposes is the proposed solution for preventing residents, both autonomous and with decreasing independence, from contracting scalds or burns in these institutions. The problems took root at the limescale deposit buildup on the thermostatic valve's removable parts, which had to be regularly cleaned using acid. We had to commit 24 man-hours per week to acid cleaning the block valves, and replacing defective thermostatic cartridges, said Mr. Vibert, maintenance manager, and each cartridge replacement cost us $136. Only a few years after Angus Square Apartments opened, limescale deposits were noticed as the first few complaints regarding excessively hot water began to creep in. Although the Angus complex was relatively new, built in 2012, the problems arising from limescale deposits, at the hot and cold water mixed temperature control unit, had become a headache and an emergency, reports Mr. Jean-François Vibert, maintenance manager. Because the municipal feed water for the building shows a hardness level between 7 and 9 grains per gallon, plumbing consultants suggested installing a softener at the water inlet. This would have been unlivable, with large amounts of salt to handle, in light of peak flow estimated at 250 GPM on a 3-inch pipe, points out Mr. Vibert. Not to mention the size of the softeners needed for the treatment, which, to Mr. Vibert, seemed unworkable, even with the Camus boilers. In 2015, Mr. Vibert requested help from the engineering consulting firm, which had produced the original drawings and specifications at the outset, and recommended Evoluteca's Mago Pure approach. I have to admit this approach seemed like very near magic to us, comments Mr. Vibert. But the design engineer for the original installations was convinced of its effectiveness. After I gathered documentation and read up on the subject, and the fact that Evolutec had a buyback policy if it did not work, we felt motivated to take this an unknown path to us in Montreal, supported by head office in St. Boniface, Manitoba. Management approved the purchase of a 300 GPM Mago Pure catalyzer. At the time, we could obtain about 100 complaints out of the 149 apartments, especially from our 3.5 and 4.5 units. A few weeks after installation of the catalytic system back in June 2015, the number of complaints dropped by 98%. The few remaining complaints took root at the poor leak-proofing capacity of certain valves that had been acid cleaned, and were worn out by the repeated acid cleanings. In early 2016, the 3 electrically heated Camus boilers, that produce the building's hot water, were inspected. It was easily identified that the water heating pipe's inner walls were impeccable, showing not a single trace of any limescale deposit. This must have surprised the inspectors. If Mr. Vibert had not switched methods and opted for the Mago Pure catalytic system, to take the limescale deposit bull by the horns, the need for the internal plumber and his fringe benefits, 24 hours per week, for each year, would have required an annual maintenance expense of at least $28,000. Therefore, this amount represents the minimum savings generated by the catalytic system. Add in cleaning the Camus boilers, all the problems created by shutoff, downtime and startup, scrubbing and washing off the limescale deposits built up over time at the valves and within the piping, and all the damages that follow quicker than normal. Astonishingly, Mr. Vibert pointed out a major change in laundry product behavior following installation of the Mago Pure catalyzer. the water tended to produce more suds. Thus we saved even more on laundry washing products by lowering quantities in the pre-programmed recipes. In conclusion, installation of a MAGO pure catalyzer has eliminated all limescale deposits, in the thermostatic and check valves, in the hot and cold water piping, in the Camus boilers, whose softeners have been disconnected. And it has reduced complaints by 98% regarding water temperature from the thermostatic valves, the need to change these thermostatic valves, the demand for laundry products, building operation costs by over $50,000 per year. It has increased the water network's energy efficiency while maintaining clean, spotless piping. The return on investment is well within a year. The MAGO pure catalytic approach appears to offer the best economical and ecological ratio than any other known system.